Government men are always the carnivorous demons called Rakshasas, man-eaters. Sometimes these government men turn against the conditioned soul and take away all his accumulated wealth. Being bereft of his life's reserved wealth, the conditioned soul loses all enthusiasm. Indeed, it is as though he loses his life. Sometimes the conditioned soul imagines that his father or grandfather has again come in the form of his son or grandson. In this way, he feels the happiness one sometimes feels in a dream, and the conditioned soul sometimes takes pleasure in such mental concoctions. So, Jadavarta continues his tough speech to the king. So, he talks about some misery, some material misery, and some material happiness, both illusory. So, in terms of material misery, it is the material misery of losing wealth. The conditioned soul, if he doesn't have money, then it's as though he loses his life. And therefore, the main purpose of many people is to earn a living. And if they don't earn enough money, or if they lose the money they've got, for them life is not worth living anymore. The same way they extend this to their children, and they think that if their children don't earn wealth, then their life is not worth living. And they plan their children's life in such a way that they'll accumulate wealth. But wealth can be taken away. In this verse, the example is government men taking away the accumulated wealth of a person. So this refers to a time when taxes were collected by government men, by princes. They could keep, or landlords, they could keep a certain portion for themselves, and the remainder was given to the bigger king. In this way, it used to pass through the levels till a portion reached the emperor. Now, if one of these collectors, the landlords, got angry with someone, then he could just assess him for higher income tax and take it all away, and that person could do nothing about it. So this is what he's talking about. Nowadays, government men take away money in the form of corruption, that if you want to do something, they may force you to give a bribe, or if you want something fast, you may give a bribe. And both ways you lose money. In the second way, you get further karma because you gave a bribe illegally. So these make one miserable, oh, I've lost my money. Then the other example is where people think that they're very happy, where they worship their fathers and grandfathers, they take great pleasure in doing their monthly rituals for the ancestors, and they're only dreaming of going back and staying together with 3 generations of ancestors in Pitraloka. Then such people imagine that their son or is their grandfather taken birth again. So very often, sons are given the names of their grandfathers because they think it is the same, and they take great pleasure imagining, oh, this is my grandfather come again. So Srila Prabhupada says this may happen also, but what kind of pleasure is this? Instead of your grandfather going back home, back to Godhead, you want him to again take birth and then be your son. So this kind of illusory happiness, where we want to enjoy the pleasure of the material association of our children, is illusory. The real pleasure of association of our children is spiritual, where we understand that they have been given to us for 2 reasons. One is to finish our previous karmas, we may owe them something. And secondly, in order to take them back home, back to Godhead. These are very elaborate arrangements. A devotee, this is for a devotee. So a devotee, with great care, Krishna selects someone to be born in our families. It is not just something for our own pleasure. Oh, how nice my children are, how beautiful, how cute, how intelligent. This is not the purpose at all. We have a very serious duty that we have to look after them and help them go back home, back to Godhead. So this is our mission, why we have children, and we should take great care that instead of taking illusory pleasure in our children, imagining all sorts of things and taking pleasure in their broken words and so on, we very seriously engage in understanding them in such a nice way that we can help them to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is not to say that we must force anyone to do anything, but we must understand their mentality so nicely that they will be inspired and attracted, and they will follow our examples. We must also be very serious in following all these things, and they will automatically follow. This Purushottam month is a month when we can, every morning we can do Mangalarti somehow or the other. And then our children, when they see this, they will also be inspired. So Mangalarti, chanting in the morning, all these other things, reading, If we do this, the children will automatically follow, and in this way, our life will be successful because we'll help them go back home, back to God. Hare Krishna.